Right now, I'm doing the 50 times summon. I have no idea what to do. I I haven't completed the story, but I just did the tutorial enough for me to summon. I know about fusion. Mm. That is just disgusting. That looks terrible. That's a yokai. I've seen that before. What is gonna be? She looks clean. She's more of a support, it seems. This is gonna be a long one. He seems trash. I'm just gonna summon until I run out of space. I meant to look her abilities. Yeah, I got two more. Beelzebub. I forgot what demon that was. Bahamut, yep. Yeah, I might use him. Alright. I wonder what he fuses to. Oh, who's gonna be? Oh, yeah. Thor, the God of Thunder. He's definitely going in my team. He actually doesn't seem that good. He seems like you just charge his attack and just hit. And then just one shots. He does not seem that good. I'm going for the AOE units. I like AOE. He seems pretty good. I'm gonna fuse the 3-star units, but I'm not. But I'm gonna leave the 4-star alone. Just level them up. I heard that's a good idea. Another Beelzebub. I mean, another Bahamut. That's a no, thank you. He seems like a good AOE and tank. I'll fuse him. Once again, I just got this guy on a free in the tutorial. Once again, my rule is what I've heard is you should fuse the 3-stars and keep the 4-stars. Thor seems very basic. Yeah, I got one more. I saw the 10 remaining on the upper right corner. Let's go. I didn't see any other color. This is gonna be a bad one. What's this? I could be lucky. Mm. I was trying to look at skills. I don't know what that is. It seems good. Once again, I'm just gonna fuse a lot of them. I really like this one. This is my waifu. Single target. She's all single target though. Oh my god. This game got some good waifus. Dog poison. Skill 1. See, I say skill 1 a lot because to see an Opera Omnia veteran, and my brain need to get used to this system. I have Opera Omnia brain, but I'm just gonna call it skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, just like Opera Omnia. Otherwise, my mind will just go away. My mind won't understand. So here's what I'm gonna say. Her skill 1 seems good, but I'm just gonna fuse her. I think that's it. It seems like the I saw no light. Okay. Oh yeah, Jack Frost. I heard if you fuse him together with someone, he's great. Not wait, I heard he's a good like beginner. You don't fuse him. I heard he's a good beginner unit. I'm just gonna summon on this real quick. I think that's a 5-star. I know what she does. Don't know what he does. Skill 1. Chance of being muted reduced by 50. Inflicts light chain damage on single enemy. Skill 3. Inflicts dark change on single enemy. Oh, the Bahamut. I actually don't know this guy. Skill 1 reduces EVAC of all enemies by 20%, 3 turns, as elect null inflicts light damage to random enemies. Good aim. Hit weight. Wonder what this gonna be. Oh. Oh my. Ain't this the dragon from Persona 2? The punk kid had this one. Skill 2 inflicts all mighty damage on all enemies. Yeah, he seems really good. All party members repels magic damage. Oh. What's that? Maya to 50. It adds 15 to MP, I think. It seems godly. What is this man? Divine Virtue. Curses all party of cures. Okay. So it's very situational. So if I ever need him, oh, is he? Removes barrier from all enemies. Chance to inflict curse on all enemies. Waifu, I'll fuse her. That 5-star guy seemed really good. I hope I get Metaton. I think this is guaranteed. I hope we get Metaton. He's 4-star though. Enemies. Oh, he seems really good. He seems all AoE and really, and he revives. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep him. I'm gonna keep him. He seems great. Any more tickets? I heard Alice is the one. I heard Alice one of broken units in the game right now. Anything else? I'm a trier. Omnipotent ain't the same as transdimensional. So this is gonna be a fusion and summon video. I'ma try. Watch me get her. I don't know what I was thinking just now. Oh, man. I know it's here. Here it is. Here we go. Not a pretty sight, is it? What do you expect? They got no homes. Storm's got full road. Come on, let's get to it. Now we're gonna fusion a bunch of them to see what happens. So keep the Marvel human skin, right? These humans, Bolo Storm, and Storm had to be. Yeah, party. I know all about this. It's basic gotcha game team building. I don't want her or him. Yo, why is him being a dork? Why are you being bored? He said, omnipotence is a fallacy. Okay. Oh my god. What are you, a lawyer? Newest. Gonna set it to Rarity. If I can find it. Yep, Rarity. Base. Let's see what I got. Jack seems godly, and I heard he can get you through the story. Thor seems kind of trash. This the demon they give you at the beginning. Don't see what he do. Yo, but you like Marvel. Yo, Blueface has joined the chat. Okay, so time to end the stream. Alright. Yo, someone started. Okay, I know. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yo, GB, have you seen Game of Thrones? He seems kind of trash. Wait, probably Madara. When did it? Hold on. Actually, never mind, because he has nothing to stop the White Walkers with. They'll basically. That snake seems godly. Where's that Valkyrie chick that I saw? Oh, this is old. This Carnage Midnighter. Never mind. My bad. Midnighter's Phantom Menace style. Anyway, doesn't even know what full one. Like really style. I might keep her for. I'm gonna put her on my team for waifu purposes. His butterfly seems amazing. I didn't mean to do that. Seems like she's like the better version of that Valkyrie Angel chick. She seems like a big support character. Of course, I'm gonna lock. Might remove and replace it with a butterfly. That butterfly seems way overpowered. Where is it? I just saw it. There he is. This thing's kind of clean. Okay, that's my team. I'm gonna. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex 2045 is gonna fuse. First season, all 12 episodes are available, and this show follows the members of Section 9, led by Major Motoko Kusanagi, as they explore a new and ever-evolving threat to mankind. I love the first Standalone Complex show. I think it's an excellent anime. It's one of my favorites. I remember seeing it for the first time, and I remember being so blown away by it that it really changed the way I looked at anime. It was one of those first shows that made me want to think deeper about what I had just seen and try to look into the implications of the show and read up on it. Shows like that and strangely FLCL had a similar effect on me. They both kind of dropped around the same time for me when I saw them anyway. And I thought a lot about those. I'm glad you can see before you fuse. And so Standalone Complex means a lot to me. Whereas the original Standalone Complex was 2D animation, this show is whack. That mute seems powerful though. That's going to be an instant turn off. There's a lot of people that don't want to look at an anime that's fully 3D CG. And in my case, I do prefer 2D animation. I just think it looks infinitely better. I think the possibilities for storytelling, strangely, are deeper and better when it comes to 2D animation, even though you think that 3D animation would open things up. For some reason, it makes it feel more limited. That's stupid. I'm not gonna fuse any 5 stars or anything. This show, for the most part, was fully 2D. There was also a 2.0 version of Ghost in the Shell, which was a remastered version of sorts of the 1995 movie, sort of a special edition with enhancements. It was horrible to look at, and I always hated it. It was also an easily available. It seems like I can't fuse a lot of characters right now. Version of the movie, and a lot harder to find an HD version of the fully untouched original classic from Mamoru Oshii. Gratefully, they have released that on Blu-ray, and I love watching it still to this day. So this franchise has used 3D technology in various ways throughout the course of their movies and shows, but this is their first time to fully utilize it, and I think the effect was poor. This is not to say that the show can't be. Oh, this shows you like what. This is way better. I think this shows you where to you. This actually shows you what is needed to fuse. just make you indestructible? Beelzebub. I heard he's good. I have no interest in Thor whatsoever. He seems like a basic bitch, but whip Thor fans, come at me. Draw damage received. To critical hit where of damage to critical receives. Inflict on all enemies while healing caster. He seems good. Odds are a lot of you haven't seen this show yet, but they do a pretty good job of surprising you in the final 6 episodes. It just takes a long time. Sorry, Thor. Because it feels like the show You're going. Has no idea what it's doing. What? It's so strange to go into a show, especially one that's fully computer animated, where you can put the camera anywhere you want and feel like you don't have a plan. Something else. Select one or more common demons. What? For themes, for soundtracks, for the original show. Like this, but I don't want to use Jack. That sucks. Okay. This show has a lot of music. I was like, what is this? 2010? Did Inception just come out? Are we still doing I forgot about that, Wool. Okay. I'm gonna give Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex 2045 a C. Like I said, I was just pumped for a new show in this continuity, and I do think that they started to figure out what they were doing towards the end. And for the personal enemies, okay. She seems pretty good, or it. On a single target. And I hope that they can also improve the animation. Like I said, I am not against the fully CG show. Okay, they're both the same element. Compete with what else is out there. You can't just put out some PS3 looking shit. You have to compete with the world of CG animated shows. When you look at the final season of Clone Wars, this just doesn't cut it. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. I'm curious to know what you thought of the first season. If you happen to check it out, they're the same. They're the same purple. Select one or more. My brain confused. Ghost in the Shell is directed by Rupert Sanders and stars Scarlett Johansson as the Major, and this is the American live-action adaptation of Masamune Shirow's original manga and Mamoru Oshii's 1995 film, a film that I'm a humongous fan of. That film is very inspirational to me. It's one of my favorite animations of all time. So I went into this film about 50% ecstatic. So I'm gonna have to explain this deeper to me. I skipped a lot of the tutorial. I think I'm good for now, though. See the art in it and not just treat it as this thing that is Japanese, that's not for the United States, and realize just how awesome it is and how many of our films have been inspired by anime. And so I was 50%, as I said, ecstatic.
The other 50% of me remembered a little film called Dragon Ball Evolution and a little film called Speed Racer. Two times in which I have been horrifically violated by American live-action adaptations of anime, in particular Dragon Ball Evolution. As you guys know, I'm a humongous DBZ fan, and that is my least favorite movie of all time. So I was very conflicted. I was like, I want this to be so good, but oh my god, don't get excited because,
What is this?
happened in the past.
Money will change or exchange shop for events.
This adaptation of Ghost in the Shell follows the Major, a girl who was in a terrible accident and her body was reconstructed, and now she is part of Section 9, a futuristic police force that hunts down.
Ah, I see.
In this case, they are hunting Kuze, a man who has launched a one-man war.
No, thank you. Those look like good prices too. But I ain't no whale. I'm a free-to-play player always.
Good. This movie was good. This is one of the most visually faithful adaptations I have ever seen of anything. Spectacular cinematography. They have created Masamune Shirow's world to a T. This is a gorgeous film that is so stunning to look at. I think CGI is a fantastic tool, but if it's overused, it becomes noticeable. In this film,
yeah, I know I complete some things.
And it melds with some breathtaking production design virtually seamlessly. The world of this movie is so well realized. This is the Ghost in the Shell universe. On screen, big budget. They nailed that aspect of the movie down pat. There's also quite a bit of sequences that are direct.
Weird team, but let's go. Okay,
What concerned me going in, amongst a lot of things, was that they were just going to be hollow recreations of these scenes that I love so much from the original film, without much substance underneath. Gratefully, that's not really the case. This movie does retain.
I forgot to get the story.
Original film has. While it's not as fully realized as that anime film, which is just fucking perfect in my mind, it is a really good try, and they got really close to nailing the substance as well. The original film dealt a lot with the line between humanity and AI.
These seem like the other events that you can unlock by doing the story. Right now, it's just story, it seems.
And that is recreated pretty well in this film because Major, as a character, is very conflicted. She has memories of her past that sometimes glitch into her visual that she's looking at. And she's seeing things, and suddenly she gets this flashback or an image gets inserted into whatever she's looking at, and she is recalling a past that she believes she has. But the people who created her are saying that's false. And so she wants to do research about herself and really dive deep into whatever she was before. So,
can I add a fifth?
That is something they actually got better. The character of the Major in this film is.
No, it seems like you can select a friend too. I think so.
There really isn't much to improve in that film, but if I were to pinpoint one thing, I would say they did a pretty smart.
I wonder when that's gonna be unlocked. Don't care about the story.
In the anime that could have been better. Towards the second and third act, I won't get into spoilers, but she learns more about her past. She starts.
If any of them talk, I have no interest in any of them.
A lot more for her as a character and as a protagonist because
they can all go to hell.
And conflicted background than Motoko Kusanagi had in the original film, and they actually improved upon that. The original film also touched a lot on gender identity.
It's whoop ass time. Look at all those skills.
In a store window that's just being used for display purposes, and she grows even more curious about herself in that sequence. This film has.
I actually put it on times 3 because I feel like it's a lucky number.
To a human woman because she simply wants to touch her face and figure out what it is that makes her human. What's different about her eyelids? What's different about her lips? It's a really fantastic scene, and that does hint that this version of the Major is also very curious about this herself because she clearly doesn't view herself from a sexual perspective in this movie.
First, how much damage does normal damage do? Oh, that was terrible. That was awful.
Pulls off in front of people, making the Bato in this film feel uncomfortable, just like in the anime. There is a very good recreation of some of these themes. It's not a home run. I would say it's a solid base hit. This film is dumbed down in some ways when compared to the original film. This is more of a straightforward good guy, bad guy scenario where the original film was a little blurred. At first, I don't want to get into spoilers again, but towards the third act of this movie, that line between good and evil does get blurred a little bit more. And that was something I really appreciated because some people that you think are good, perhaps they have other motivations. And while it could be viewed as your typical American twist to a screenplay where something kind of gets thrown at you at the last second, I think it's a little more complex than that. One of my biggest praises
I don't think the game can handle times 3 speed because you saw that lag right there.
might actually be better than the original. Clint Mansell, who I think is a genius, has delivered a
I have to read what they say just in case.
orgasmic score. I cannot wait to buy it. You do get the
I don't think you can even use that.
that amazing choral arrangement that is in the opening of the original film. This time it's at the end credits. And while I was watching the opening of this, watching the major be created, I was like, man, I wish I could have Kenji Kawai's amazing score right now. But then Clint Mansell started, and I was like, oh my god, this is fucking awesome. This music is amazing. And I really can't.
Oh, these are the passives. I thought that was the abilities. I'm retarded. I see. Okay. That changed my outlook completely. Yeah, the passive. Increase damage dealt to curse enemies like this. Okay. What's that passive? He's actually terrible. increases desire.
Isn't as good as it was in '95. But everything else is extremely faithfully recreated, and things they changed, I liked. I'm gonna give Ghost in the Shell an A minus. Guys, I hope you check out this movie. Give it a chance.
Look at this man. Look at this man. He takes up the half the screen.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Go see it, or in this case, a movie. Go see it, and then decide for yourself. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. And if you like this, you can click right here and get stuck my eyes.
That's all he was weak to. I'm just gonna do this. Boop.
I have complicated feelings about Ghost in the Shell, the new live-action remake. My feelings about the original film are very I love it unconditionally. Great movie. But the remake, on the one hand, it's an ambitious, technically impressive cyberpunk thriller, which is something that I really want to see more of from Hollywood. On the other, it's dumb as a sack of fucking bricks, and it's basically an insult to the original movie. But before I get into that, let's take a step back and talk about my perspective on the film going into it. The original Ghost in the Shell is an important film, and for once, I'm not just speaking personally when I say that. The Matrix and Dark City would not exist without Mamoru Oshii's original vision of Neo Tokyo. And without them, we wouldn't have, well, half of all modern action movies and all of modern cyberpunk film. So Paramount's new remake isn't just another case of Hollywood taking something beloved within the anime community and potentially...
I'm just gonna attack.
It's a case of Hollywood remaking a vital part of the film canon.
Yeah, how much could he possibly do to me?
With the same trepidation as the upcoming sequel to Blade Runner and the abysmal PG-13 remake of RoboCop. That last point of comparison will become much more relevant as this video goes on.
You can't even see his pass.
Given Hollywood's lack of respect,
Oh no. Okay.
animation in particular, there was little reason to believe that it would even come close. The original movie is smart and nuanced. It approaches transhumanism.
I don't want to talk to him.
Not being inherently negative, and I had strong doubts that that spirit could carry over to a film made in America, a nation that fetishizes individualism and frequently rejects scientific progress. See this, America? You see this? Look at this. I can pay for stuff by slapping my...
I want to check the auto on this gang.
This is the future, America. Wake up, America. Guess I gotta make more SAO videos. And then there was the whole whitewashing issue, which I have complicated feelings about as well. I think that if you're transporting a film setting to the United States, then it makes sense...
Oh, it is the friends. Oh, it is the friend mechanic. It is third slot. This that fifth slot that I was wondering about.
Hispanic, white, and only 5% Asian, that means that you're going to be casting white people as anime characters. And you'll probably end up casting more black and Hispanic actors ahead of Japanese ones as well. That's just how the demographics in the US break down. Of course, that should mean that one...
I'm gonna try it auto and see how it does.
We're not even close to that, but I don't think it's right to blame an individual movie for a...
I'm not interested in the story, but it is weird that a bunch of demons are invading the world in broad daylight. Unless it's like some Digimon cop out and they're just like in the game or whatever. Okay, this gonna
Ghost in the Shell as a
where's the AOE?
cannot be taken out of Japan. The series setting is
They should bop you.
explicitly tied to Japan's history and uses that
Yeah,
as a
bopped
basis
you.
for speculation on its future.
Be gone.
Existence of Section 9 really only makes sense in the entrenched bureaucracy of the Japanese diet.
It seems like there's only 2 waves so far, really.
Japan's unique armed forces, the
Attack.
self-defense force, which is not allowed to operate
If I talk to him, will not have to attack him?
economics, and two nuclear world wars that build on the legacy of the last Great War. You would essentially need to start from scratch, at which point, why take the license at all? So, Ghost in the Shell had to be set in Tokyo, but it also had to star Scarlett Johansson. I get that. The way that Hollywood currently works, you can't justify making a movie of this scope without a big lead at the helm. And there are no
Yeah, in case you didn't know, unpopular opinion, the Earth just gets colder and hotter over time. We don't have anything to do with it.
It's not going to happen. And there's this whole other infinitely circular argument about whether or not that's because Hollywood never gives those actresses a chance in the first place, but I'm not going to get into that here. I'm barely equipped to handle it. I understand the argument for why this movie needed to have a star of StarJo's stature in
I ain't got shit.
If you want to do it, you need to simply gesture. Very few scenarios in which that wouldn't negatively impact my personal suspension of disbelief while watching the film. Going into it, the only scenario that I could think of that even kind of worked that Motoko Kusanagi chose to have a white cyber body as a fashion statement, I guess, only raised more uncomfortable implications. Fortunately, the movie finds an alternate solution to that casting issue, one that actually does make sense within the film. Unfortunately, the plot that justifies that solution turns this movie into
I want to see how Otto does.
everything the original film stood for. One really interesting thing
Yeah,
about the anime Ghost in the Shell, which makes it stand out
that seems about right.
by action movies, is
I can AOE most of the story, it seems.
special, at least not externally. Her exterior appearance is a mass production cyborg shell that can be found all over the place in Tokyo, even in storefronts as a mannequin. Full body cyborgs aren't especially common in this world, but they're normalized to at least the same degree as people in wheelchairs or the blind. And at the point that the story begins, humanity has already accepted the idea of a mind totally decoupled from the body, a ghost separate from its shell. And the film raises an important related question. Where does that leave AI in the spectrum between robot and humanity? It also creates an interesting conundrum for Kusanagi. Can she really be sure that she's a human in the first place? We see in the film that memories can easily be rewritten, so maybe she was built as an android and implanted with false memories of a human life. Seeing identical mass production copies of herself wandering.
I know there's gonna AOE. Whoa. What? Whoa. Pause. Okay, so Otto works with talking to. That's interesting. That's dumb. Why add the feature? Call emergency.
They throw out much of what makes the Major interesting in favor of trying to make her more conventionally rounded and appealing to a contemporary audience. And to be fair, this character is a lot easier to relate to on an emotional level.
I'm helping.
In no small part, I'll admit, to Scarlett Johansson's brilliant performance. But she's not really the Major, not even in name only for most of the movie. The movie focuses on the origins of the Major, here named Mira Killian. After an accident on a refugee boat, her mind was salvaged by Hanka Robotics and put into a robotic body, making her the world's
It's guts.
body cyborg. She's unique, special, and that makes her feel incredibly lonely, which I guess is as good a basis as any for a character, but it's not really Motoko.
I like this battle system.
She's also obligated to serve in the government's public security section 9 because the experiment that saved her life was part of a weapons program. She's not sure if she's even human or not, as she conveys in some painfully ham-fisted dialogue, and as she later finds out, her entire history was a lie. She was actually a teenage runaway picked up off the streets by Hanka Robotics, who are even more evil than it originally appeared they were, and turned into a cyborg against her will. Her original name, it turns out, was Motoko Kusanagi. She was originally Japanese, and the villains stole her identity, ethnicity included, from her. That's kind of about the most interesting thing you can possibly do with casting Scarlett Johansson in this role. You could use that as a strong metaphor for colonialism or even Hollywood casting itself. There are a few problems with that, though. Firstly, the film
Wow, I was at like you saw I was at like I swear I was at like 60 at first. This drains my battery fast. Now who's this? Yo, she got guts. Yep, thank you. And witch lolly. What is this? Be gone with you.
Extrapolating from that, the underlying message of the movie seems to be that transhumanism is something that threatens our humanity rather than something that could possibly enhance it. That there should be a limit.
It's after completing the story. If there's a event that just levels up my characters, that's what I'm gonna focus on. I'm just gonna level up all my 4-star demons and ignore the 3-star. This video is gonna go on a Reddit, so you guys help me.
Although, admittedly, those questions can be pretty leading. The original would never suggest that there's a simple answer to the big questions that it poses, especially not one as blisteringly stupid as it's not our memories that define us, but our actions, which more than 30 different people parrot at the camera over the course of the movie, and which only raises more questions if you think about it for even a moment. And I will ask those questions in a high-pitched voice because there's not enough Tachikoma in either movie, and I need to make up for that. For starters, considering that everything we perceive is processed and stored in our short
I don't need no item. I don't need no item. I'm just gonna bop them.
And for that matter, aren't our actions in the present inextricably tied to our memories? The mind makes decisions by processing present stimuli in the context of past information, right? So aren't our memories and the way that we interpret them the cause of every action that we take in the present? That being the case, couldn't our actions be influenced by false memories? Not even the ones that are implanted by an outside source, but what about the memories that we alter by the very process of remembering them? Or dreams that we miss?
Who do you want to talk about?
Science suggests that our brains and the information contained within them are the sum total of who we are. So it stands to reason that changing or suppressing that information would at least partially change who a person is. We even saw that with the garbage man, who was presumably not a killer before Kuze implanted false memories within his brain. Actually, let's take a minute or three to talk about the movie's erstwhile villain, Kuze. Fans of Ghost in the Shell standalone complex will recognize that as the last name of Helium.
Not really.
A JSDF soldier and full-body cyborg who attempts to assassinate Japan's prime minister as part of the individual 11 attacks that form the main arc of the second gig. Which may be a little confusing since this movie is clearly doing the Puppet Master story from the original movie, right? Yeah, no, remember, this is Hollywood, so everything needs to be connected to everything else.
Well, fuck you too.
The villain be a random AI just wouldn't do. The movie still follows the story of Section 9 investigating a hacker who is using hacked androids and even hacked cybernetic humans to go on a crime spree. But now, instead of a rogue AI, the hacker is a failed full-body cyborg, Motoko's predecessor, enacting a campaign of revenge against the people who created them. Which I had figured out from Cutter's ridiculously evil little speech at the beginning of the film, and the fact that all of the targets were directly linked to the same company that built Motoko. Not to mention that they more or less gave it away.
Yeah, it shouldn't do anything.
But this movie being predictable isn't the big problem here. The problem is that they took two really interesting characters, the Puppet Master and Hideo Kuze, and fused them into one boring, nonsensical mess. It makes sense that a sentient AI would be insanely good at hacking. It is a computer program, after all, many times smarter than a normal human. But a broken prototype cyborg, even
I'm not gonna use an AoE on him. I have plenty of turns to just kill him.
don't really buy it. Maybe my
Yeah, I didn't want. I don't like using AOE's. I didn't know that was the
answer so dangerous in the original film.
final boss. I didn't know
The
that.
idea of an AI as the villain and making Motoko's cyberprosthesis special, the remake all but abandons the underlying themes of the original. The question of what it is that makes us human and how our species can evolve. It gets even worse as the film wraps up, though. After fighting a think tank in a scene taken more or less directly from the original film, only without all of the symbolic destruction of the environment.
Okay, so that's how you level up. Okay.
Broken and waiting for death in the middle of the street. Kuze asks Motoko to merge her mind into his neural network, and she rejects the offer because she'd rather
What?
die than lose her
What?
individuality. Which is
What you doing,
really about as far from the nuance
lady? What's going on?
as you can possibly get. In fact, it's almost a straight up middle finger to anyone who was hoping that the film might respect its source material. The ending of the original movie, where Motoko merges her mind with the AI to create a new being in order to save her life, is smart and thought provoking, but it makes writing a sequel with the same.
Is this how you level up?
Difficult to say the least. Ghost in the Shell Innocence had to change its focus to a new protagonist, and
It's a demon.
audiences are way too dumb to follow something like that. So the studio's solution is to dumb everything down and change the ending to something more open-ended and philosophically meaningless. And of course,
This could be important. Oh, damn, that's a waifu. Upgrade. That's what I want to do. Enhance? Yep, that's what you want to do.
Apparently was put into production after the studio read 3 words of the synopsis and said, yeah, we can turn this into the Karate Kid. But from turning Godzilla into a Roland Emmerich disaster movie to what they did to, like, every foreign horror movie adaptation that ever followed The Ring, you don't need to look far to find victims of this mentality. With Ghost in the Shell, I imagine that the studio conversation went something like this. Okay, so we've got the rights to this landmark cyberpunk movie. It's about this cyborg who fights crime with, so it's RoboCop? Well, no,
I'm gonna merge the Bahamas that I got.
We could sell 1 million tickets to that. Well, I mean, RoboCop is more of a critique of fascism, whereas Ghost in the Shell... Ah, thanks, I was just about to ask you for the title. You're welcome, but Ghost in the Shell has a more positive outlook on the future that... too late to change anything, bucko. I've already written the script. Now get making this movie. I want it out in like 3 months. So instead of doing, well, anything interesting, the film follows the same tired, betrayed super soldier plot that you've seen a million times by now in films and especially video games, which, beyond the problems that it poses for the underlying themes of the film, is just plain boring. Which is perhaps the most damning aspect of this movie. For all the visual spectacle, though,
No, I'm gonna hide out and fuse my dupes.
It's a total snooze fest. You can predict what's going to happen from the very first scene, and if you've seen the anime, then you already know what's coming in all of its big set piece moments and fights. Ghost in the Shell does a lot to insult its audience and the fans of the original property, but the biggest insult is that it's such a huge waste of time. If you're not a super fan of Ghost in the Shell, the original anime, it's not even worth getting mad about. It's just another paint-by-numbers Hollywood vehicle with some directorial flourishes and a brain-dead script. It's a pretty shell with no ghost. I'd tell you to spend your money on something else, but the only other option is Boss Baby, and apparently that's already crushing hits at the box office, which I think says a lot. I've got a What's in an OP for Ghost in the Shell coming up in the next few weeks, as well as a ton of other videos, so be sure to hit subscribe if you want to catch all of that. And if you want to help me make even more great anime content, consider supporting me via Patreon.
I'm just combining my dupes.
If you want to hear me talk some more about American adaptations of anime, then click right here for my defense of the upcoming Netflix Death Note. And leave some comments down below to let me know what other anime movies you would like to see covered. Or you can click down here for a list of 5 great science fiction anime that I think you should check out. For now, though, I'm Jeff Boo, professional shitbag, signing out from Neotopia. There's this moment in the new Netflix Death Note movie where L draws a parallel between Light and Icarus, saying, "You're the one who flew into the sun. which isn't quite the right mythological allusion to make while talking about either the film's version of Light or the one from the original manga and anime. Light is arrogant, yes, but you'd be hard-pressed to say that his hubris is his undoing in either version of the story. However, I do think that the allusion fits the movie itself to a T. Death Note is, despite the lashing it's gotten from fans and critics alike, an undeniably ambitious movie. It seeks to please series fans while transforming the manga's original concept of a notebook that kills people into a cautionary romantic coming-of-age story and a metaphor for American interventionism all at the same time. Unfortunately, that time is a scant hour and 40 minutes, and it's not nearly enough to accomplish everything the film sets out to do with its narrative. But still, I would much rather see a film adaptation try and fail than fail to try.
I forgot what she even did. What are passives? She looks so fresh to me.
From the source material, its slick cinematography, neon-tinged color palette, and generally bold direction gave me the impression of a film born from passionate creative vision. I kind of think it could be good, rather than a soulless studio calculation. That much should have been obvious from the film's production history. You don't push through a cancellation and multiple studio rejections, insisting on a 50
And she trash.
for an R-rated thriller just to make a quick buck. And now that it's finally streaming to an internet-connected device near you, I can say with confidence that I had the correct impression in that regard. It's clear from every frame, cut, and musical cue in this movie that director Adam Wingard had something to say with this project and that he was trying his damnedest to say it right. This is not simply an attempt to cash in on brand recognition. The film has significant...
I missed a dupe. Wait.
Over-reliance on coincidence and inconsistent plot logic, but individual scenes and character beats are actually written fairly well, and the filmmaking supporting that script is impeccable.
Where is he? Okay, I missed the dupe.
Interesting and creative, the acting is mostly solid, and the music is fantastic, though very different from what you'd expect from the anime. However, none of that makes this a good adaptation. While the core of Death Note, the philosophical debate about what truly constitutes justice, does remain intact here, it is dumbed down, and almost everything around it is...
This video really just me experimenting with the system.
...is not like Yagami. His father is certainly not Soichiro Yagami, and many other vital characters like Matsuda are nowhere to be found. L and Mia Sutton, Lisa managed to live pretty close to their original personalities, though the changes to life take on very different roles in the story, but only Willem Dafoe's Rhea feels too accurate. If you're a fan of the original series and you expect this film to give you the characters,
I'm actually gonna
you are going to be sorely disappointed. But
try to level him up. Actually,
it's not really a bad movie.
he seems like a really good unit. Watch me get Alice, and I just waste all of this.
Points where it gets stupid with a capital R. But if you have an appreciation for the technical aspects of filmmaking, cinematography, editing, sound design, and effects work, you'll find
I still got one left.
this film stand out as
Oh yeah.
And as I found out in my second viewing, the plot of the movie
I might as well get him to max.
once you know where it's going. A lot of seemingly out of character moments, particularly for Ryuk, actually make sense if you know what lies everyone is telling, and things that I thought were plot holes the first time through are frequently explained through smaller details and visual storytelling. This is the last point you can get off this ride before we dive into spoilers, by the way. For example, on my first viewing, I thought it was weird that L knew how to use Mia's Death Note page.
Oh.
To kill the FBI agent, she had to
Okay.
the agent pictured each other agent on
I get it.
for her plan to work. So she basically left instructions for L to follow.
One,
and he saw Light's page
two.
from the trash. So that thing that seemed like it didn't make sense actually did. On that note, and this is a bit more obvious, I initially thought it was weird that the normally lazy Ryuk was so active in keeping Light's game going by pushing him to kill and even killing the FBI agents for him, essentially being the villain of the film. But of course it's revealed that Light just assumed that, and Mia was responsible and was in fact the true villain.
Trash.
Ryuk was just lying to fuck with him, which is very much in line with how he acts in the anime. It's a bit hand-wavy, but that does explain pretty much every minor inconsistency in his character. And without those inconsistencies, I've got to say, Willem Dafoe's portrayal of Ryuk is basically perfect. Mapping his face to a real 7-foot-tall actor in a costume instead of using pure CGI is a smart choice that gives him a physical presence that he simply didn't have in the Japanese movie. He comes across as intimidating, but he is ultimately the same lazy, bored, sarcastic asshole he was in the anime, albeit serving a slightly different role.
Reduces attack.
The Death Note is something that is
The lion seems pretty good.
all along, rather than a Shinigami by itself, and that Ryuk's job is to ferry the note
Oh no.
keepers, then follow the
Dang it.
instructions to cause deaths. The Death Note prop tells a bit of this story by itself, with
Stop.
entries scrawled in many handwriting variations and many different languages at the front of the book. This role as an agent of destiny, essentially, is very different from how Shinigami work in the anime. They only kill to steal the lifespans of humans and keep themselves alive, with Ryuk only tossing his note into the human world to see what will happen because he's bored. But in both versions, the Shinigami still ends up playing the part of a neutral, mildly antagonistic...
How good can Thor really be?
Really change much, and I don't think it's a bad change. But the Death Note itself also changes substantially, specifically in terms of how its rules work, and that is, if I had to guess, what's going to piss off anime and manga fans.
Oh, wait a second.
Is that what we're gonna do with the outright rules and warnings? The original was a tight,
So
thriller, and the only
it says inflicts damage 4 to 5 times on random enemies.
the movie doesn't
So is it really random?
and even lampshades that
Or how random is it?
how many damn rules there are from both light and
But I know I'm gonna level Jack up because he seems pretty good.
story about its characters than it is with making sure that every last plot detail lines up.
Don't get him a 33 by now.
Follow the rules sometimes. In his final plan, Light carefully words his instructions so that he never puts his own name in the Death Note, for instance. And because the FBI director in Langley can't physically make it to Seattle to jump off the building, he instead has a heart attack on the stairs. Sometimes the film pays attention to these details, but it's really inconsistent about it. Without these rules, Death Note just becomes an absurd supernatural melodrama, which isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. I think that Death Note as a concept
He's very situational.
without totally destroying itself, but it does weaken the underlying logic of the film to the point that it doesn't really work as a detective story. It might not be as riddled with plot holes as I thought on my first viewing, but it still has quite a few. Perhaps the most important rule in the anime is that the Death Note can't cause collateral damage. It can't shorten the lifespan of anyone
Inflicts light
in
damage.
it, but the whole lifespan mechanic is just
on
conveniently
enemies.
left out of the movie's plot altogether, and with it, that limitation, which means that Light could just write Watari shoots the detective known as L in the face, then kills himself and solve the whole movie in one sentence. Of course, he doesn't, because, well, there wouldn't be a movie.
Do healing all skill effectiveness. Now, what does healing skill effectiveness really mean? Is that MP heal? Is that HP heal? What is that? I'm asking good questions.
But the film is at least consistent in characterizing him this way. He doesn't just suddenly become an idiot when the plot needs him to. He's a very different character from Light Yagami, but that doesn't make him a badly written character. More specifically,
Most of the characters are physical, but just for safety, I don't know. Thor just seems like a good DPS, and that's all I really see in him. That's it. He just seems like pure DPS, so.
And when he gets Mia alone in his room, Light asks if he can kiss her instead of just reading the mood and doing it before she shows him how to do it right, which is a great moment of characterization for the both of them. All this paints a picture of an awkward nerd who's bad with social cues and good with logic, which is consistent with how he acts throughout the film. Light Turner does eventually end up acting like his anime counterpart, concocting a brilliant Machiavellian scheme to save his own ass and erase his problems at the end of the film, but he gets there through a character arc that sees his trust in others and naivete slowly stripped from him piece by piece. When confronted by L, he tries to make a deal with him, only to be shot down. He treats Mia as a partner, only to be betrayed and nearly killed by her when he doesn't take things as far as she wants him to. It takes all of this to change Light Turner into something resembling Light Yagami. And even then, he still gives Mia an out if she chooses her love for him over the power of the note. Which does kind of break the
MP.
notebook again. Any human whose name is written in the book is supposed to die, so an if-then statement would only result in Mia having a heart attack if the conditions weren't going to.
The extra 2 levels.
Put that aside, it's a strong character beat. It shows that he's still trying to be good, even as he makes a continuous to kill his girlfriend. Anime-like self-preservation instincts and ruthlessness are largely foisted off onto Mia, which is pretty consistent with who she is in the anime, actually. She's not as intelligent or forward-thinking as Light is, and her impulsiveness ultimately ruins everything for both of them, which is pretty much exactly how things would have gone down in the anime if Light didn't keep her up.
Dupes.
All of this has the effect of making Light substantially more sympathetic in the movie than he is in the anime. He doesn't kill the FBI agents or cops himself. In fact, he takes a hardline stance against it, and this is backed up by how the story is told. The first we see of Light, he suffers a small injustice at the hands of his principal, and then we learn of a much bigger one in how the man who killed his mother got away. We're immediately primed to see where Light Turner is coming from and understand why he kills his first victims.
How did I get 2 of everyone?
Whereas Light Yagami just starts killing because he's curious to see if he can. A lot of Death Note adaptations try to fix this in one way or another. For instance, the J drama has Light.
And that's enough in here.
To save his father from a hospital.
I think this whole thing was really just customized. Spirit.
And cheer for him to either get away from using the Death Note or find a way to use it correctly, depending on where our values lie. The discussion of what is just or unjust is the real heart of what makes Death Note Death Note. And as I hope I'm demonstrating, this film does manage to keep that intact, albeit in a simplified form. The question of whether what Light's doing is right at all, and if so, where he should draw the line in carrying out his goals, is central to the film's narrative, and each of the principal characters represents a position on that. Moreover, the film adapts this moral conflict to be more relevant to a Western perspective, where Light in the anime could be taken as representative of Japan's.
So is this the dupe system? Did I just mess myself up? Oh my goodness.
Using its immense military power to police the planet and keep the rest of the world in line with its democratic ideals. This difference in what Kira represents and his country's attitude toward that fundamentally changes his public image. Japanese Kira's worshippers largely support him in secret until toward the end of the series, but American Kira is supported openly by cops and civilians alike pretty much from the very beginning of his killing spree. Light's dad is harassed by his co-workers for trying to stop Kira, and a worshipper even clubs L over the head to save Light in a particularly strong scene from the end of the film. This metaphor is alluded to in some of the film's early kills.
Zero, baby.
General and the ISIS leader who blows up his base, and in some of Light's dialogue. When confronted by L in the coffee shop, Light brings up the idea that if he doesn't exercise his power, someone potentially worse could take it instead, which is a frequent justification for America's role in geopolitics. Would you rather see China or Russia be the dominant military superpower in the world? Would you rather it be Vladimir Putin running the reconstruction of the Middle East? Those aren't easy questions to answer. And at the end of the film, Light tells his father, which is an apt description of pretty much every American.
Didn't you just explain this to me?
Vietnam, the Gulf War,
Select a spirit panel, perform a spirit. Demons will receive upgrades with each step taken. Okay. We will receive a combination bonus when all the spirit panel is complete, upgrading the demon. So it's like character boards on DFFFO, except they actually give you stuff instead of voice lines. Locked. Locked. Okay. Locks. Locked. I think it is. Well, I learned something. Party.
And someone to question the philosophies of both other parties. But the film doesn't.
Oh my goodness. What else do you need to tell me? Oh.
Which is kind of the biggest problem with everything in this movie, really. It has a genuinely interesting westernized take on the core themes of its source material, strong and well-defined characters, and a lot of material that could make for a great detective story, but none of it is given any room to breathe. Everything I just explained about the military intervention themes is basically all the movie has time for. The impetus is there to force Light to change and grow, but he doesn't have a lot of time to noticeably and
now what is this?
So it feels like he changes in big spurts, even if there are a few subtle details that indicate that he's changing more gradually. And while in theory I do like the idea of a Death Note holder being led down a dark path by his dick and the Genesis parallels that have always been there in the
This is what I already know. Okay. So I'm gonna go back. I think I still got it on Where To, right?
L, who has his own interesting arc towards becoming more violent that ends on a very ambiguous note, probably gets the worst of it.
Of course not.
I think that Lakeith Stanfield does an incredible job in the role, capturing both L's quirky foibles and his inimitable genius. But because the film moves so quickly and he has to do so much in so little time, his snap deductions end up feeling rash and unjustified to us as an audience. The justification for most of them is there if you look for it, but the film just doesn't have time to properly explain his logic like the anime does. And that aside, there are a few things that just don't add up, like how
my dragon looking fucking beastly right now. I'm pretty sure that's the one from Persona 2.
Would be willing to kill a cop or someone else he sees as a good guy. In the anime, L taunting Kira with Lynn L. Taylor doesn't just expose where he lives, it also proves definitively that he's willing to kill anyone in his way. Without that confirmation, L is just working on an unjustified hunch. Fortunately, the movie is aware enough of this to have the police ultimately.
I ain't got no ice team, so I don't really care.
With a longer running time, he would have just seemed smart, and that would
100%.
necessary. Neither would the contrivances that the film uses to move the plot forward, like having L randomly single out Detective Turner to help him, thus bringing him within a
damn, that's a waifu. I don't know.
Or letting Light simply use Watari to get L, even though Watari is obviously supposed to be a pseudonym, and that whole plan shouldn't work at all. This film does put most of the pieces there for the story to mostly make sense on a second viewing, but you really shouldn't have to watch a movie twice and pay careful attention to the cinematography to
that's a waifu.
especially not something that's
Chance to inflict poison to times on one name. Actually seems really good. And it gives me an excuse to invest in my waifu. That's a waifu. I don't care whatever it says.
Simply put, I think Death Note would have been a lot better off as a 3 or 4 episode Netflix miniseries rather than a feature-length movie. If Light had been given an entire 50-minute episode to get to know Mia, fall in love with her, and start serial killing with her, all while L followed their trail in cutaways, I think it would have allowed the audience to get much more invested in both stories. And every second that they can draw out a cat and mouse game between the two of them would add to the logical, methodical feeling that people love the anime for. And if we had more time to see the impact that Kira is having on the world, maybe with a few more kills or some cutaways to the lives of Kira worshippers, that would have given the story room to explore its morally ambiguous themes in more depth. Plus, it would have given us more of the Final Destination-esque Rube Goldberg kills, which are one of the few things that I think everyone can agree are an improvement over the original.
Shot,
While Light's
summon,
ability to induce sudden heart attacks is certainly
hideout.
terrifying, the way he uses it makes a lot of sense.
I'm gonna
Vastly more entertaining to
I'm gonna go
watch
back to fire. I just need to
guy and accidentally impale him on his sport, or watch a truck
get
crash
my
and
dupes together more.
decapitate someone than it is to just watch those people fall over. But it's not just the kills and action beats that are entertaining to watch, although the heavy use of practical effects and the fact that the actors do their own stunts most of the time does really enhance the excitement of these moments. The whole film is shot and edited in a very inventive and energetic manner. Adam Wingard clearly isn't the kind of director to be satisfied with simple shot-reverse-shot conversations and conventional action framing. And it seems like he spent production constantly searching for creative and unique perspectives on whatever is happening. Sometimes this can feel like a bit of overkill. The film's frequent twisting Dutch angles, while they are used appropriately to show
Some of the dupes have different colors. I probably shouldn't be doing this.
but more often than
Oh
not,
well.
the film manages to find angles that really enhance each scene. A great early example of this is Light's first dinner with his father. The awkward silence as the train passes by their house both creates
My
tension
wife.
and tells us about their family situation. Living next to train tracks means that they're not exactly well off, and the shot of the family photo with the mom in it juxtaposed against the dinner scene where
Look at that dance. Oh, my 3D waifu.
some of this tension is a result of her death. The film does such a great job of conveying this information that I'm almost convinced that the earlier exposition done by the principal about Light's dead mom was something added at the studio's request. The close shots that frame Light and his father feel uncomfortable, and the camera is zoomed in on them to bring the background forward, making the scene feel claustrophobic when in fact the set is quite large. All of this puts you firmly in Light's shoes, feeling suffocated, like he's trapped at this dinner in particular, and in his cracking.
I'm gonna try to fuse it.
Back when he removes himself from the table and decides to use the death note symbolized by picking up the apple, freeing himself in the process. This scene is just one example of the great filmmaking in this movie. I could point to pretty much any moment in the film and talk at length about composition, editing, and the other technical achievements that enhance it. I mean, I could make a whole video simply praising the way that they brought Ryuk to life with a combination of practical costuming and CGI. I'm not going to do that here, but I hope I've said enough to prove my point. That this film is incredibly well put together on a technical level.
Wow, what is this?
Filmmaking will come down to taste, but you can't deny that this film has style, and that style has a purpose behind it. Death Note, as a film and an adaptation,
This time.
with problems that I fully expect will be total deal breakers for most of its potential audience, especially fans.
It's trash.
But unlike almost every other feature film anime adaptation we've seen so far, it is not just a soulless corporate attempt at cashing in on name brand recognition. It is abundantly clear that something in the core concept of Death Note really spoke to Adam Wingard, and that he wanted to bring his vision for the property to the big screen. Whether or not you think that his vision is valid or that he succeeded,
It seemed like 5 stars go with not really anyone. It makes sense.
Maybe there are some of you who will really enjoy it. I'm torn between giving Death Note a bronze medal or black medal.
I know he's good.
Because I think that you can learn from its failures and enjoy its successes in almost equal measure. But I do ultimately.
Just what I have right now is so much better.
Complicated and technically impressive film, which is a hell of a lot more than I can say for its anime adaptation contemporaries. Also, take this from a guy who's an expert in credit sequences. It has one of the best ending credits in movie history. I don't know who decided to set the final moments of this film to Air Supply's Power of Love, but they deserve a goddamn raise. And weirdly, that's probably going to be the most controversial thing that I've said in this entire review. The Power of Love by Air Supply. This is a Death Note movie, motherfucker, not The Notebook. At any rate, I'd love to hear what you guys think of the movie in the comments below. I'm sure a lot of people have already come down there to
Increases
without actually bothering to listen to all of my points. So if you've made it this far, let me know by including the secret key phrase chinchilla.
He seems pretty good.
While you're down there, if you like what
Where's my wife?
Okay. Hit that subscribe button and go to patreon.com/mothersbasement if you want to support my future video making endeavors, like all of the beautiful bastards whose names you're seeing right now. And if you want to see more of my stuff right now, you'll
My
find a
waifu.
playlist of my other Death Note videos right
Magical
here. Or you
damage.
can click here to see what I thought of the other 80s tinged Netflix horror thriller, Stranger Things.
I,
If this is the last
I.
I see of you today, then I'm Jeff Fu, professional shoot guy.
No, I want to keep my waifu. I want to keep my waifu. She's my waifu. I'm gonna keep her.
It has come to my attention that things outside the basement may not be as
Waifus for I might not ever use her, but she's my
my
waifu right now.
strategy in times like this is to stare at a screen with something fun on it until my brain can pretend it's not happening. But when things are this bad, that doesn't always work. And I have to go with my backup plan, which is to expose myself to something so unfathomably horrible that the real world seems manageable when I'm done with it.
That
So,
make
thanks
that
so much to
okay.
Dragon Ball Evolution. And now, to help all of you inoculate yourselves against the mind-shattering horror of our shared reality, I'm going to talk about
Metaton.
Dragon Ball.
Uh, or Harold.
Some absolutely dog shit live action anime
Someone from Shinigami.
nothing quite like this. Fullmetal Alchemist, Ghost in the
Someone
Shell,
from Shinigami 4, I think. I don't know.
weird single mom thing, all at least resemble their respective anime conceptually and aesthetically. Dragon Ball Evolution, meanwhile, completely
I'm just
gutted
gonna leave this alone.
all substance, leaving behind only a tattered Goku skin suit hanging loosely on the orange and teal tinted action movie skeleton of Michael Bay's Transformers and its way too many derivatives. And while the meaningless dramatic camera sweeps, gratuitous slow motion, and seizure inducing fast cut close up action that typify that style didn't work all that well for most things, they are comically ill suited to martial arts movies in particular. The whole draw of a good kung fu flick is
I know
lightsaber
he's
fighting,
good. And I already got him.
narrated through long cuts and wide, steady shots that emphasize the motion of the actors. Filmed in the Bay knockoff style, even good fight choreography, which this film doesn't have a lot of to begin with, devolves into barely comprehensible slapstick, which actually pairs quite nicely with BBE's goofy-ass script, hilariously awkward performances, pair of bad special effects, and cartoon-killer sound direction. If you're looking for something so bad it's funny, this movie can be a laugh riot. But if you go in as a fan hoping for an exciting big screen rendition of the father of all
Yeah, I know what's
anime
happening.
saga, it's gonna send you into a blind rage
Pandemonium.
in a minute flat. That's not an exaggeration.
Oops. Okay.
That this awkward
I'm gonna go
situation
home and resuscitate myself. Look back on my situations. I should have got presents for that, for doing all that stuff.
just assumed only idiots would watch this. Fair enough.
No.
In just its second sentence, that
Why
prologue
would I
is
want to do that? That's
the
stupid.
entire franchise.
What's special?
It's kind of impressive, honestly. The boy will remain Piccolo came from beyond the stars, aided by his disciple Osamu,
Gift store.
not reach great.
Okay, so
Even people who actively dislike Dragon Ball can tell you
what can I summon right now? I can't summon. I'm just gonna blaze through story right now.
and accuracy. By changing Goku's backstory and making him the servant of a Namekian specifically, this movie makes it functionally impossible for its potential sequels to adapt either the Saiyan or Frieza sagas, which is kind of like making Star Wars without the Death Star parts. Of course, only folks already familiar with Dragon Ball will be appropriately disgusted by that, and this movie was meant to reach a broader audience, so just to make sure that everyone else is on the same page emotionally, the film proper begins with almost 30 straight seconds of Justin Chapman sweating. Like, the real drippy stuff, getting all up in his eyes in super slow motion. Next
I
shot,
probably should have did Star Dash.
this is followed by
No colors.
looks like he's just high as balls.
I'm gonna skip all of this. Wait a second. How is this? What is this? Wait a second. No, who was that? Got something.
Like I said, this style of filmmaking is totally at odds with everything a martial arts film should be. The movie cuts to a
Heal when clearing a wave.
reaction, making it impossible to follow the flow of the fight or appreciate
Light, it inflicts light damage time on random enemies.
erratic editing.
He seems godly.
Very sloppy filmmaking. This shot, for instance, goes
Holy shit. Okay.
this guy who's definitely Justin Chapman going
Yo.
before he's shown standing upright in the next one, and the
He seems godly. Okay, I got some from that. I'm favoring him. Another waifu.
Okay, I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking here, but I think it's important to establish early on just how bad Justin Chapman specifically is at pretending to do martial arts. Anyone who knows the first thing about
Holy shit, that was a waifu. Okay.
to be portrayed by a skilled martial artist, yet Chapman's only preparation for this role was a 6-week MMA camp. In other words, he's a goddamn white belt. And with all due respect to white belts,
Yeah, display.
step of the journey is one of the hardest. A goddamn white belt has no place
I'm gonna lock him.
fucking Goku, son. Ignoring the stupid grimace on his face.
That was good. Wow.
Connected the kick with his knee lock like that, he'd have spent the rest of the movie in crutches. So he really
Probably should have did steps on him, but okay. Hold up, now I'm gonna lock him. Wow. Demons fusion. Oh, you can go to stuff quickly in this. Fusion. Pandemonium. I didn't notice that at first. He seems great. I'm just gonna feed stuff to him. That was some luck. 100% luck. Okay.
also a horny one, and while it's already wildly out of character for Goku to be interested in Chi-Chi at all, the sheer degree of thirst which Justin displays
Nah.
creepy. Just watch the way he bad touches the camera with his eyes while he's not fucking a strawberry in a field full of flowers. Ugh. Can you get a restraining order? That whole bit is so gross that it might distract.
Wow, he seems great.
Justify an exposition dump about ethics by having a teacher ask a room full of people with driver's licenses how persons work. Then again, you can apparently not know that and still be president. But
I'll get him later.
already spent a lot of time harping on the opening scene. But as the film's introduction to its version of Goku, it's kind of key in understanding everything that's wrong with him and it. And I think the way he whines to his grandpa in the greenhouse.
I would have liked my wife. I'm not gonna sell her. I'm gonna go through this entire game. I'm gonna until it shuts down without using her. Cause she's waifu. Okay. What she do again? Moves better on all enemies. Does 5 damage on a single target. Damage on a single enemy. She's not even that good. She's kind of trash. Huh. Demons, fusion, items, gift box. Party. Gonna make the second party. I already know this. I swear I do. No. No, I want him to be the leader. I want him to be the leader. Okay. Gonna change her. I'm gonna upgrade her.
Superman into Spider-Man for that one mediocre WB soap opera, and that shit got like 10 seasons. And Goku's basically Superman already, so just go out there and fucking give Goku some high school bullies. Tragedy the shit out of his surrogate father figure. Hurry! We're not printing money fast enough! To be clear, my issue with this isn't necessarily that Goku's been whitewashed.
I don't care about. I really don't care about her. Yeah, this dude. He seems broken as fuck. He seems absolutely broken.
And yes, that is incredibly sad. But the problem isn't just Justin's look and what it represents about the film industry. It's that in pursuit of that quote unquote marketable escapist fantasy that they wanted to build around it, The people in charge of this movie abandoned basically
I can level up my actual characters.
and made Dragon Ball successful in the first place. A lot of what's wrong with this movie can be traced back to that ass backwards marketing first mentality. And the signs of that executive meddling are so stupidly obvious and poorly handled that at times Dragon Ball Evolution reads more like a parody of this stale formula than a sincere
Like Persona 2. You know,
fully characters, for example. The way Justin and his grandpa talk about them sets up the expectation that they're mean and hurtful, but relatively harmless, nothing to do a violence over. Yet the very first thing we see Flash Thompson knockoff Gary Fuller do is try to fucking murder Justin with his car in front of everybody.
or is it for me?
Also,
Apparently.
there's that forehead vein again. Are we sure this isn't supposed to be an Akira movie? Now, high
Okay.
school is something of a lawless hellscape, but it's absurd to think that even the richest, douchiest rich douche could
I'll give him my dragon. I'll pretty sure I'll get a lot of friends from that.
only got like 20 minutes to do that before the actual story starts. So this lone
And he's leveled.
being has to be pretty extreme.
I will give him the weird angel looking dude right here, but he's not leveled. I don't want to give him something under leveled.
Angry, socially isolated kids and turtles.
So, yeah, that's it for this.
It also raises
Now I've just gotta.
why anyone would be crushing on the kind
What
of
am I gonna do?
happily walk off with her arm around an obvious psychopath who just tried to run someone.
I guess I'm gonna just blast through story.
He's so thirsty for Chi Chi, he can't even get his key up when she's not around. Like, the film makes a big point of showing us that he can't use key blasts, but then, right after first grade astronomy, he sees a chance to impress her, and suddenly he can blow open a whole row of lockers like it's nothing. And just so you
If
know,
I complete story, I want to go on. I want to unlock.
again, when he's trying to learn the Kamehameha.
No support, of course. Let's go.
Forget Super Saiyan, this boy's Super Simple. Also, the locker thing is what passes for a meet cute in this movie. Ah, yes, the popular pretty girl, secret nerd about the same thing he's a nerd about. Could this pandering be any more obvious? On that note, could Justin be any more overeager?
No.
Fuck, dude, at least pretend you haven't followed it home before.
I wonder what my normal attack would do. It should have murdered him, actually. Yeah, there's one shots. Bob?
Sure, totally out of character.
I'm OP.
Anime hair do be like that anyway.
Poop.
Because Goku's gotta be Spider-Man, Justin needs to let his
Poop.
dad down in some way, like before he's murdered. So, even though Gohan seems like he'd be totally cool with it if he just asked, he sneaks up to the party while his grandpa's busy cooking him a special birthday dinner. A few of Gary's goons attack Justin as soon as he arrives at the party.
I might put it on auto.
Cares about keeping promises to his grandpa.
I'm just gonna blaze through this. I'm gonna try auto.
The same thing to the boss bully when he shows up. And I know you're all expecting me to beam on this bit now. But one, that's been done to death in every other video about this movie. And two, this is actually kind of the best fight in the film, low as the boss of that is. You can follow the action reasonably well and keep cuts lasting to appreciate some of the
200.
and it's clearly intended to serve as a comic relief bit before Gohan dies. So I'd say for how many people have laughed at it, that
I don't want to talk to him.
more than succeeds is what it sets out to do. Besides that, I'm more concerned with what this scene does to the character, because while Justin doesn't lay a finger on the bullies,
Do you earn more XP when talking to him?
walks out to find him surrounded by a circle of her unconscious party guests. And given that context, it's kind of fucked up that she just follows him back inside to flirt without bothering to check on any of them.
Darn it.
This flaky, amoral fight slut who will fall for any guy who can beat up the last guy she fell for. This is apparently motivated by the artificial off-screen conflict that she loves martial arts, but her parents just don't get it, which is literally exactly the opposite of what a Chi-Chi is. As he's busy macking on her, Justin's spider sense starts tingling, signifying that it's finally time for the plot to happen. Back home, Piccolo shows up looking for the four-star ball, which I guess has just been in this same house for the last 2,000 years, because if he had a way of detecting it, he would have just gone to the party, right? Anyway, it's not there, so he gets pissed and force chokes Gohan, a thing he can apparently do,
Oh, Loving Quest. Yay.
which is
Where is that?
even daze your average key user, let alone kill him, but that's a nerd nitpick, and there's a much more fundamental problem with Gohan's death. The sole purpose of this film's first act is to give the audience enough time to get attached to these characters so we'll feel something when Gohan dies
Okay.
in his grandson's arms. It doesn't work because
Thank you,
everything
man.
about this movie is terrible, but it does create the impression that this relationship is the emotional core
Yeah,
of the
man, you go
story,
there.
which it absolutely is not. And that means you get some big old narrative blue balls when, at the end of the film, our hero uses the
You go,
Dragon Ball
man.
to revive an old weirdo he's known for a week, and not the man who
What?
raised him, or even
Loving
Nezuko who
Quest.
died because of Piccolo. The final scene of the
Okay.
movie, on the other hand,
I guess
implies
it's
that
telling me that there is gonna be a. I'll do the XP grind off camera,
intro does support that
or
idea.
I'll just
True, you'd think she'd be in the rest of it more, as uncharacteristic
or I'll
as
record that in
Piccolo
case I'm confused too.
is. The film only ever uses her as a sex prize for Justin to enjoy after he does a thing. She doesn't get involved in any major fights, and in her few minor ones, she very conspicuously leaves her sports bra unzipped. And her only contribution to the actual plot is getting knocked the fuck out because Goku knows so little about her that he immediately and hilariously fails the doppelganger test. Even though he can sense
I'm gonna turn auto off. I'm gonna practice what I know. Where's that guy?
Her character is so completely disposable that the only time Jamie Chung interacts with any other member of the main cast besides Justin is when she's playing
Darkness.
Oh yeah, in case you missed it, the random ninja lady who follows Piccolo everywhere is supposed to be Emperor Pilaf's servant Ma. And like, now that I say it, I'm sure you can see the resemblance. Mai's hair is basically a bob cut, only longer and not at all. And the trench coat is pretty much exactly the same thing as a skin tight bodysuit with a blue.
I think I'm just gonna auto.
It is downright uncanny how production design
I want to understand the mechanics. I understand them completely. Just want to get used to them and just not have an auto brain. Cause some games, some gotcha games want you to have an auto brain. In DFFFO or the C Upper Honor, you cannot auto in that game whatsoever. You have to use your brain. Not downplaying this game. I'm just coming from a DFLO to come from an Opera Omnia veteran. That sounded bad. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. What is this? I don't want to talk to any of these people. All of you do.
And that is maybe the worst thing about this whole film, because while every 90s kid loves both Dragon Ball and Power Rangers, any 90s kid can tell you that Dragon Ball is nothing like Power Rangers, Mom. You just don't get it. It's a real shame that Piccolo especially doesn't get to do more or play off the other actors, because James Marsters absolutely kills it in this role, owning every line of dogshit dialogue they gave him. It's clear that this Piccolo fucks. If you read interviews from the movie's release, it's also clear that Marsters cared deeply for the character and for Dragon Ball as a whole. He immersed himself in the lore of the film universe, Yeah, there's lore. Remember, they were planning to make at least three of these things in order to portray the villain as sympathetically and convincingly as possible. And he even purportedly asked the makeup team to make his head look grosser and wrinklier to better resemble old King Piccolo. Yet, for all that effort and talent, all the movie can think to do with him is have him loom into frame like a dollar store Darth Vader and spout vaguely menacing one-liners. And it's not like they couldn't have made room to do more with him. Both Gohan and Chi-Chi are completely ancillary to the plot, remember? So every scene of terrible flirting and the whole first act could have been cut without changing anything else. And if they'd done that,
Which one I
hey,
talk about?
well, the movie would have started with Goku meeting Bulma.
I'm
Like,
gonna die
good
of
for
bored.
you.
Of boredom.
Okay, to be fair to
You two are
screenwriter
having
Henry,
fun.
you
Wanna
did
play?
personally apologize for writing this, so thanks for that.
I'll play with you.
Feature films are very different beasts from serialized comics or TV shows with totally
Vivisecting
different
you.
narrative constraints
Become
and
my servant.
adaptation will need to adjust for.
Become
But to
mine.
be even fairer, the biggest constraint is that movies are way shorter than those other things, and maybe inserting 20 minutes of padding before an already stupid long story begins isn't
Sure.
the best way to
What?
solve that problem. I guess in a roundabout way, that brings us to Bulma, who honestly, I don't even know what the movie's trying to do with her. Her personality's all over the place in every scene. And by random chance, it does line up with her manga counterpart a couple times, where she's
Did you hit me?
flirting with
Oh
Goku.
my oh.
She's portrayed as a sort of
Oh no.
ask questions later rogue type
What? I'm gonna
character.
watch out for that
She's got
guy.
the other line, angry whisper, no matter how silly that sounds.
He almost murdered me.
Though because subtlety
What is
is a
that?
foreign concept to this movie, she ends up coming off
What is
more
that?
as a unhinged, blue-fringed psychopath than a lovable rogue. I mean, yeah, Bulma also tried to shoot Goku dead when she first met him in the manga, but that was because he picked up and threw her car while she was in it, whereas her sole motivation for cold-blooded murder here is that she has a thing she wants in her pocket. Also, the whole thing where she calls the Dragon Ball a Prometheum orb and wants to turn it into
Watch out for that guy. I can't believe you just did that.
weird, kind of dumb. The contrast between her manga counterpart's genius intellect and puerile adolescent motivation of collecting the Dragon Balls to find the boyfriend was brilliant. And since basically everything else in the back half of this movie is meant to
This is how I'm
symbolize
doing.
nostalgia, it would fit this version of the character better. Also, than
I'm gonna auto the final mission.
by infinite energy. Other than that, she's really more of a plot device than a person. Her main purpose is to whip out the Dragon Radar when it's time for a scene
Well, I
transition.
don't think
Though
this even
they don't call it that. Dragon Ball energy locator. I don't have monetizable words to properly convey how angry that line makes me, so let's just move on. Acting on Grandpa Gohan's last words, Bulma and Justin travel to find Master Roshi in Paozu City, which is named after the mountain Goku grew up on in the manga for some reason. Like, guys, if East City wasn't vaguely Asian sounding enough for you, you could have just called it Ozu.
are now available. Okay, these are reviews for room to achieve Iron Rewards. For details on missions by tapping. Big missions on upper right. Okay, go give it a try. Okay. Let's see my beginner missions. No. Those are horrible prices. Full game data can be downloaded to your device. Download the full guarantee and this game can also be played without. No, I don't want that. That's terrible. Special beginner missions. I did all of these, didn't I? I swear I did. Who's that? I don't know what that is. Well, I'll figure stuff out. This video will be going on for over an hour. I'll figure stuff out off camera. Very light. I might just go back to Romancing Saga universe. But that game is way too grindy. That's why I moved to here. I'm really using this game for to do stuff when DFFOO is got nothing, no events to do. So yeah, see ya.